Are we on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Microphone check. Lights. Cameras.
This is swanky. This is lifestyle. This is culture. Welcome to the social center of everything culture. Culture Daily.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show thus far, and it's been a pleasure coming to you. But before that, let's make some money. Do you guys have any money making sheets in front of you? No? All right, now I'm going to start with Telecel. Okay, is the more money promo, and this is the final draw. The excitement, it's peaking, guys. Okay, and so over 50 winners so far. Already they've walked away with 30,000 Ghana cedis. Oh, I've been using Telecel for some years now. Telecel, hi. Okay, they've won this weekly, and the draws have been on. Okay, now we are getting closer to rewarding one customer with a grand prize of 1 million Ghana cedis. And this again, people, is the Telecel More Money promo. The lucky customer could be me. Yes, me, Lenny Lamote. You have to keep purchasing data, airtime, or reload your fixed broadband to get closer to becoming a millionaire. The more you reload, the better your chances of winning. Don't miss out. You can dial *500# and send win to 500, or visit the Telecel Play app to opt in for free. Join the Telecel More Money promo now and make your holiday season even more joyous. Remember, the terms and conditions apply, and then the promo is regulated by NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Telecel, connecting energies. Now, talking more money, Betway is saying that when you place a bet and it seems to be going your way until it is not, there's a possibility to save your bets. Okay, some people have been at the point where they place multi-bets and it's going great and they are jubilating, and then just one team knocks their jubilation out the door. But I beg your pardon, Betway is making this possible for you to just recoup with the Bet Saver feature. You can win even if you miss these bets as well, even on multiple losses as well. I can hear hooray for all of those who do these multiple bets as well. You can get that back and even more. Remember that this is exclusive only to Betway, where you can get way more. Again, terms and conditions apply. Is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. And in everything that you do, remember, responsibilities really important, so bet responsibly. Now, when you make all this money on Betway and with the Telecel, and you are enjoying a very, very good holiday season, maybe some people would also want to go back to school. And why not go back to Lancaster University? All right, that is an option. They are the only British university campus in West Africa, offering you up to 50% discount on your tuition, and also giving you a very conducive, a vibrant environment where you can learn, study, and then also it takes you a step closer to the career of your dreams. It only happens at Lancaster. They also have the finest faculty trained lecturers to help you and also move you in that educational front and dream that you want to get to. For more information, you can contact www.lancaster.edu.gh, or you can send them an email, admissions@lancaster.edu.gh, or you can call 020-960-7008. That's 020-960-7008. Again, Lancaster University Ghana is the only British university campus in West Africa. And so it is time to get into that conversation, talking peaceful elections. And if you watch from the beginning, Amy Cherry is on. Of course, Mr. Terry Tastic is also here as well. But we have a guest, okay? Guys, let's welcome Mr. Adam Afeeva, who is the director for the National Commission for Civic Education. And so we are going to start by asking him, what, for those who do not know, what the institution does as well. You tell us what you do, and then we get into it. Being political season, it's about 10 days to vote. And guys, if you haven't made up your mind yet, right about now, you should be making up your mind, right? Yeah. Terry, Amy,
Absolutely.
Yes.
have you guys made up your mind yet?
Yes, please.
Because some people's options are sleep. Yeah, sleep on the day. But yes, let's get into it.
A good vacation.
And a good vacation. Okay. Let's get into it with Mr. Adam Afeeva. Hi, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. So the National Commission for Civic Education, what do they do? Who are they? What measures do they put in place to also make sure that there's a certain level of awareness in society?
First and foremost, I bring you greetings from the National Commission for Civic Education Chairperson,
Okay.
Madam Kathleen Adi.
Greetings, ma'am.
The National Commission for Civic Education is an independent governance institution set up under Article 231 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and the National Commission for Civic Education Act 452 of the Parliament of Ghana. The Commission works to promote and sustain democracy and also to enlighten Ghanaians on their rights and responsibilities using civic education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Now, in these enlightenment steps as well, what would you say that Ghanaians should do in knowing their rights, the do's and the don'ts? Because if there's something that we've heard so much, they say that your rights end where someone's rights begin, or your rights begin where someone's rights end, right? So in your steps and your processes in doing what you are mandated to do, how do you let us in on it? And then what are some of the steps that you have taken, and have you covered the whole country?
Article 42 of the 1992 Constitution talks about the rights of every Ghanaian who is above 18 years and is of sound mind to register and vote.
Okay.
And so that fundamentally talks about your rights. And it means that you can also join any political party or also form a political party.
Okay.
Those are your rights. You have every right to join them on their campaigns, and then you have every right to express your political opinions and all that. And when it is election day, it is your right to also go to the polling station. But it is expected that when you get to the polling station, you observe some order, because there are some rules of elections that you are expected to observe. First of all, as a good citizen, you need to keep your ID card well, your voter ID card.
Okay.
You need to have it with you. Go to the polling station, and it is when you have it with you, it makes it easier for the polling station officials to be able to trace your name in the voters register. But if you don't have it, because it is perhaps missing or damaged, you can still go, and then you will be made to vote. You were expected to be in the queue.
Or you can vote without your ID card?
Of course, yes. So long as you have your name in the electoral.
Okay.
So long as you have your name in the electoral register, you can vote. But if you take the card there with your name, it makes it easier for identification. Your name will easily be traced. Okay, but without it, you can still be made to vote, so long as your name is in the electoral register. So you queue. If you have to be, you have to queue. You may have to queue. And then whilst queuing, we expect that you will not try to have conversations bordering on what or who somebody is going to vote for. No, that is not expected. You are not even expected to take party t-shirts Anything that identify you as belonging to party A or party B, you are not expected to take it there. Remain calm in the queue. When it is your turn, the necessary things are done, you vote. And we are saying that if you are voting at that critical moment, the right that we are talking about, your political rights and all that, I think that is the climax of it. You deciding on that day, that special moment, that I want Mr. A or Mr. B or Mr. C to be the president or the next parliamentarian in your constituency. That is the climax of the moment. Take your time, look at your candidate's picture well, just beside your candidate's picture. I'm not talking about above or below your candidate's picture. Just next to your candidate's picture, on the same line, you will probably find his or her symbol. Next to his or her symbol is a box that you are expected to put your thumb into the indelible mark and then place it inside the box. Don't let that mark cross to the next box, because you will make it difficult for those counting to determine which candidate you want to vote for.
Okay.
So you thumbprint just within the box that is there for your candidate.
Okay.
And then when you are done, you are expected to leave the polling station. You are not expected to be there and be making noise and trying to perhaps control the way things are going there. And let me mention these people as the ones that the law identifies as people that must be there.
Okay.
We are going to have the presiding officer with or her polling station officials. We are going to have the security personnel. We are going to have some media, accredited media personalities.
Yes.
We are going to have some observers. For instance, NCCE will be going around to observe. You know, we have gone around doing education over there. For a long time, we may have to go to the field or go to the polling stations and actually assess the impact of our education. So on that day, we'll be going from polling station to polling station, observing the impact of our exercise, education.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I did also ask if the NCCE has been able to cover ground across the country in educating people about what to do or not to do during the elections.
Of course, we have done that, and we are continuously doing that. We have visited the churches, the mosques, the lorry stations, everywhere, including the pubs, the marketplaces. We go there. And because we believe that a free, fair, and transparent election must begin with the entire citizenry being educated, and we look at issues of inclusivity. For instance, persons with disability, we meet them, we talk to them. Women groups, we talk to them. All kinds of marginalized groups, we meet them, we talk to them, inspire them, empower them, encourage them to exercise their franchise on that day, because it matters most in the life of every citizen.
So
Right.
I have a little
Carbon-
question,
okay.
if I could ask,
Okay, you go.
because it's something that was actually eating my id. Now, in your definition, while giving your assertions, you did mention people of sound mind when it comes to voting. Now, there
18
are
plus.
18 plus, yes, but I'm more interested in the sound
Sound mind.
mind parts.
Okay.
So now, the interesting thing is there are different grades of sound mind. So how do you gauge how? Because I could be not
You
of
could
sound
look-
mind.
you could look
yeah,
like
but
you're
yeah, because you don't
sound-minded,
judge a
but
book by
not,
its
yeah.
cover. I could wear clothes, look very decent, very flashy, walk up to the polling station, and then cast my vote. But how do you determine? What's the gauge to determine whether someone's of sound mind or not? That's my first question. I have a second one coming up.
That's a very important question that you have asked, and I think that has to be addressed. For somebody to be declared as not having a sound mind, I think it's the medical doctor that has to examine the person and then come up with the necessary document to back it. And I think until that point where a medical officer can prove someone or can actually see someone as medically sound or not, we cannot say someone is not sound probably because of his dressing or his looks. But in any case, we expect that when you get to the polling station, you will have to behave well. Because sometimes, even without a medical form or whatever, if someone is misbehaving, to a certain extent, we can see that, no, this person is not well. But somebody just dressing shabbily, and probably conducting himself well, we cannot say that.
You know, sometimes we could actually see a madman on the street, and you could just tell, without, even if he's just not in his most violent, mode, you could just tell that this is actually someone who is unhinged. What if this person walks up to the polling station, is acting quite well-mannered in and of itself, but per the physical descriptives of a mad person, you could tell this person does not seem as though they're firing on all cylinders. How do you still eject the person from the queue, or you just have, since again the person is abiding by all these modalities that you have, i.e. comporting themselves, they're in line, they're not talking to anyone, they're not wearing any apparel that identifies them with a particular political group, do you allow this person to go vote?
Thank you. I think you have asked we are touching on a very important thing that our laws or our lawmakers probably have to take a look at. Because if we say somebody is not of sound mind,
who's judging?
Well, we don't know, but the person can still go to the polling station, cast his or her vote, and go away, because the people there don't have any proof to disenfranchise him or her. So I think you have raised a very important point, and going forward,
So,
our lawmakers will have to look at it again.
okay, so I also think that it's their behavior. So if you go there, you're not doing anything to harm anybody, you vote and you leave and go home, right? But then my question is, that sometimes, like I always, when your card or where you register, that is where you vote. Is it still going to be like that? You'd have to travel to wherever you registered to get to vote?
No, this time around, the polling stations are going to be there. We've had polling stations all over. They may not change that much. You understand? So if you have your card, you can determine your polling station on it. But in some cases, you realize that you go to the one particular center has so many polling stations. In that one, you may have to look for the presiding officer there who can easily show you that go to this station A or B or C, because sometimes you have the polling stations clustered in one particular area.
Yeah.
You may have to see a presiding officer who will help you. Either than that, you may spend long hours.
So that means you can't vote anywhere. You have to vote at where your name is.
I think
Exactly.
for clarity purposes, what she's asking is, for example, if you registered maybe somewhere in the north, right, and then you've relocated to Accra, if you have to vote again, you have to go back to the north to cast your vote.
Yeah.
I think that's what's
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's no
access,
system.
proximity.
Yeah, isn't there any system that should or can be put in place where you can still cast your vote wherever you are, provided your name is in the system and you have your ID card?
There was an opportunity, transfer of votes, stage of the electoral process, which we have skipped. Now we have barely 2 weeks, or less than 2 weeks.
So that didn't happen at all when you
It
say you
did happen.
skipped?
There was a time
Okay.
for transfer of votes.
Okay.
But now we've skipped that process.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's clear. That's okay. So that means that also hasn't there been that thought that for those who can't vote in the regions or areas that they registered, that they are not possibly or probably still living in, that will also mean that some people are going to be losing votes or deciding not to vote? Because if I come from a far away place and I'm not living there anymore, I don't think that's because of votes I want to go travel all the way to just go and vote and come back if I'm not prepared financially, physically, and all of that. So that means that some chunk of votes are going to be lost, because I'm sure it's not just one or two persons who have to travel out to cast their vote.
That is why I early on said that there was a period for transfer of votes. Our system, I cannot say is the best, but we are gradually moving closer to being among the best or being the best. So the system could only allow for people to transfer their votes at a certain period. But for now, it is not going on. The transfer of votes is not going on.
Exactly.
Maybe in the future, it could be possible for people to even transfer their votes a day prior to election. But for now, that opportunity is over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, be that as it may, so how does the National Commission for Civic Education empower citizens to participate in meaningful elections if some of these things are not worked on?
That is why I said that it is a process. We are gradually going to get to a stage where what you are saying is possible. But for now, it is not going on. That is why I will advise, anyway, it is over anyway, that when the transfer of votes, sometimes when you are there in an election year, you should be more concerned about where you will be during the election day. You know, being a concerned citizen who may also want to have a say in who becomes the president or parliamentarian in your constituency. When it is an election year, it is just an advice that I'm giving, that people should be more concerned about where they will be on the election day. So if probably months ago you knew you may probably not be in the northern region, you could have probably taken advantage of the transfer period to transfer your votes here. Okay. But we should be doing the best. We should be doing the best. That one I admit. So I'm just saying that maybe in the future it will be possible that a day prior to elections people can transfer their votes. But now it is not happening.
Or possibly as well, this is just saying that maybe on the day, I mean, since Ghana is going digital, there should be a way where we can, or technology can help us vote from wherever we are. Once our names and our IDs are in the general voters register, even if we are outside of the country, there should be a possibility that we are able to also lend our thumbs with that digitally and physically to vote. So that'll be nice. But also, you know, in the beginning I mentioned that some people are planning to go out to vote. Some people have sleep as an option, right?
Vacay.
Have you or vacay? Terry keeps mentioning this vacay. Is that your option, Terry? Is that your plan?
My option,
but
girl.
but also, have you encountered people who just are nonchalant about the elections that are coming up and don't want to participate in any way?
Yes, on the field we meet a few people like that, but as much as possible we try to discourage them from taking that stance. Why? Because you are a citizen of Ghana. The law recognizes you as someone that can also have a say, that must have a say in what this country becomes or does not become. Okay, so it is an honor to me. It's even an honor. It's a great opportunity that you are given the power to decide whether Ghana should go direction A or direction B. Okay, this country's destiny is in your hands, or is going to be in your hands that day. You know, the candidates have preferred different policies. You know, your only the only thing that you can do now is to sit down, analyze them, and say that, oh, okay, because of so and so and so coming from candidate C or candidate D, I want to vote for him. By voting for him, then you are also pushing for those policies. Okay? But if you decide to sit on the fence and allow people who perhaps do not even understand the policies better than you do, if you allow them to go and take the decision on your behalf, it may go back or it may haunt you in the future. All right. So it is a call, a national call. It's a duty and also the right of every citizen to make sure he casts his or her vote on the day.
There's a thing about when minds are made, okay, and the difficulty of changing one's mind. Some of these people as well probably have made up their minds maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, or let's say maybe at the beginning of the election year, or maybe a couple of months ago, right? And seeing how things are going in the country, they may not like, okay, and so there's no decision making for them as well. How easy has it been or difficult has it been to change these minds as well? Because I'm sure that as much as possible you'd want everybody to exercise their rights and go out to vote. So being on the field, seeing the people who have decided not to vote, how has the process been like for you and then for the team at NCCE as well?
I would say that we push hard, using all kinds of words that will evoke their nationalist feeling. their nationalistic feelings, that this is something that you must do for Mother Ghana. Don't sit down, because whether you like it or not, the effect of you voting or not voting will come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to go to the various polling stations on that day and have our say. Most cases, most of the people that I meet who express that stance, by the time I'm leaving them, I get to know that they are beginning to have a certain sense of awakening that what this man is saying is true. And believe you me, on the day, I know most people, some people will say they won't go and do it, but on that day, the desire will come.
Okay.
It is only in some few cases, but I am telling you that on that day, some of those people will
Okay,
turn up
so
at the
on
police
to
station.
the transfer of votes, right? I have a question here. So the person says that there was a period for the transfer of votes. On election day, if a valid voter goes to a polling station and he didn't cause the transfer but has been mysteriously transferred, what happens to this person?
At the polling station, the one that presides over everything there is the presiding officer.
Okay.
So if the person gets to him or her, he will be in position to know what to do next, because what the person may be saying is probably may not probably be the true situation. Okay, so I leave that one to the presiding officers on that day to actually decide.
Okay.
Yeah.
In sensitizing the citizenry about voting as well, right? What have been the highlights for you in knowing that, okay, we are talking about peaceful elections. We are going around educating people on what to do and what not to do. I have an assurance that education is sinking down into people's minds, and they are going to make sure that they stick to everything that we are saying to them. What have been your highlights?
We had a parliamentary candidates dialogue for the parliamentary aspirants in this Ayawaso West constituency. Even though two of the candidates couldn't turn up, leaving just one candidate. But when the exercise was over, questions that were coming for or to the candidate and the responses.
Do you want to mention names as well for those who don't know about this dialogue, and then the candidates who didn't show up and the one who showed up?
The dialogue, prior to the dialogue, or the dialogue is preceded by a research that called Matters of Concern to the Ghanaian Voter by NCCE. And so after that research, we are able to know that yes, in this coming election, so and so themes or so and so subject matters are what the citizens are expecting from their leaders in the next coming years.
Okay, so that's the goal, right? But you mentioned that two candidates didn't show up and one person showed up. So it's just the name of the candidate who showed up and the names of the candidates who didn't show up that I'm asking for, because for those who don't know about this dialogue and how it went and all of that, before you also now get into the questions that the candidates who showed up was being asked.
Oh, you want me to perhaps mention the name?
Yes.
Okay, we have Honorable Lydia Siram Hassan, who couldn't turn up.
Okay.
And then John Dumelo, who could also not turn up.
Okay.
But we have Abugri Mumuni, the independent candidate, turning up.
Okay.
And even though he was the only guy there, the numbers that came and then the interaction that he had with the audience, it was massive.
Okay.
It was massive.
Have you had these dialogues across the country as well? I keep making reference to across the country because I think that some way, somehow, in certain cases, right, I'm going to use maybe tourism as an example, right? We say that it's just mainly in Accra or some select cities that these tourism activities are happening. But there are lots of tourist centers, sprawled across the country. And that's why I keep making reference, so that it's not just covering ground in the capital cities of the country, and then we are going into all of these deep, far away places as well to make sure that everything that has to be done is done right. So, to my question, have the dialogues been held across the country?
Exactly. It has gone, it is, in fact, it started and it is continuing, and it will have to be done in all the electoral constituencies in Ghana.
Okay. Okay.
It is going on in Accra here, in Ashanti region, all the 60 regions in the constituencies it's happening. I know it is meant to promote issue-based campaigns. Issue-based campaigns, so that we have to get to a point where followers or supporters will not be only aiming at exchanging insults, but rather be listening to the ideas that their candidates are professing, so that based on such policies and ideas, they can take a stance.
Okay. For those who are just joining us, we have about 15 minutes to wrap on the show this morning, but we've been having a conversation with Mr. Edem Afeeva, who is the director for the National Commission for Civic Education. You can get the full interview on our YouTube if you've missed it. Okay, it will be on our YouTube 3 Music Networks. But Mr. Afeeva, I mean, you've gotten into the conversations, right? Have you had instances where you find that people below the ages of 18 want to vote, or even have gone the extent of having an ID card and their names are in the register? And then as well, have you encountered cases where non-citizens, non-Ghanaians also want to vote? And in those cases as well, how is it handled?
Over the years, in every election period, some of these challenges come up, but as much as possible, I would want to leave that to the Electoral Commission to handle and focus much more on the education aspect of our work. Okay. So now in spinning around that question as well, in educating people, do you also let them know or sensitize them as to the age of the voter, and insist that you have to be a certain age and above, and then also you have to be Ghanaian? Of course, yes. Because, for an election to be free, fair, and transparent, the people must be sufficiently knowledgeable. And they must be sufficiently knowledgeable and well informed about the process. It is only then that you can guarantee free, fair, and election. So when NCCE hits the field, we touch on every detail, everything that will make the election free and fair. We do that.
Okay. I really enjoy the fact that you're talking about the election process or the electoral process. Now, it ties in with the rights of a citizen to vote. What are these rights, and how do you ensure that people understand properly what their rights are when that day comes to vote?
Fundamentally, what we can do is to meet different segments of people, talking to them, telling them that it is your right. You need to put that right into action. Okay. And that nobody will be allowed to infringe on that right. That right makes you one of the people who also have a say in how this country is run. So don't take it for granted. If it is time for registration and you are above 18 years, go and get registered. have your name in the electoral register, and when it is time for elections, make sure you vote.
Right, so
Infringement. Okay, you go.
after the elections are done, how does the NCCE assess that, these education or voter education that we did across the country, how do you assess its improvements, or how do you assess the overall success of the education?
Okay, when the elections are over, the Electoral Commission gives out results, details. I mean, what number of sport ballots did we get?
Yeah.
What number of rejected ballots did we get? Some of these feedbacks we get will inform us that yes, what we were saying was really going down the route. Okay, so
But there are other dynamics as well that impact, the number of people who go vote. So how do you tell that this is exactly the number or this is the output of your input as the NCCE?
Yeah.
I think that's where the question was headed. Yeah.
how do we measure our
Yes.
success?
Because
How's
there are
it-
other
how's it
people who are also
measurable?
doing things to get people to go out there to vote, or to get people to do the right thing. So how do you know that, the work we're doing is doing well? Like, how do you know that, we're doing the right thing?
What's the gauge? Because there are other instrumentalities, not just the NCCE, that would, galvanize people to go vote
Or not vote.
Yeah.
or not vote.
So how do we measure our successes
Yeah.
as against the successes others have also chalked?
Exactly.
Well, because we are the state institution mandated for civic education, and if you like, voter education, we are everywhere. Okay, when we talk about our presence, it is close to 100%. Okay, we are everywhere. In the remotest part of Ghana, you will find NCC staff going. And so, when there is success, even if we cannot measure it in whatever terms, we can also beat our chest and say that truly, we are part of this success.
Okay.
These democratic gains that we are making, we are part of it, and we are even leading.
Okay. Now, in asking this question a different way, will it take a peaceful, free, and fair election for the NCCE to be able to measure its success?
It is not just a peaceful, free elections. All other aspects of our national life.
Okay.
For instance, people knowing their rights, as in other areas of life, not necessarily NCC.
We're asking this just in relation to, yes, the NCC does a lot, but just in relation to the success of the education that you've been doing for several months now, the voter education. Will it take after the election? That's all I'm saying, or that's all we are trying to ask, right?
Okay.
Will it take that for you to be able to put a measure to it and say, yes, we have been successful, we managed to educate the citizens on, voting and their rights, and, just going out there to cast their votes, and so we have been successful at it?
You mean, will it have to take will the election be over before we will be able to measure
Before
our
you be-
success?
Exactly.
No.
Okay.
As we go to the field, the interactions we have with the people, the feedback we get from them. For instance, just last Saturday,
Okay.
I was at Radio Universe, and the three gentlemen that I met there, they really welcomed me, and what I said, they also hammered on it to the general populace, and you could, from the way they spoke, you could see that they are in touch with the grassroots.
Right.
So one such people are also joining us. I think we are making a headway.
Yeah, making a headway. Okay, now in making this headway as well, you did mention infringement of rights, right? What does that look like for you as well? What would you say you would pinpoint as infringement of voters' rights when you are looking at it as the director of the NCCE? What are some of these things that people do, other people or maybe external forces, consciously or unconsciously, to infringe on the rights of voters?
Okay, I would not want to term it simply as the rights of the voter, but the political rights of that individual. You know, because as I said from the beginning, I said we have the right to join any political party of our choice.
Yes.
And exercise or express our political orientations in various ways, provided it does not hurt others. So when it's about, if we are talking about infringement, for instance, let's say a group of people meet, they are going about their political activity, be it a campaign or whatever. Then from nowhere, you decide to go and disrupt that activity. The law frowns on that. You could, how do I say? You could be charged. It's an offense. Okay. Somebody pastes his political material or some of those things on the wall. You decide to go and tear it. It is an offense.
Okay.
Or maybe even on a show like this, probably we have two political parties here. They are like having a discussion. Then one decides to start using insult at the other person. Those are all infringement of people's political rights.
Talking about taking off people's posters, don't you think that sometimes they put the posters at where it's not supposed to be? So for instance, I come to my house and on my wall I see that there's a poster, then I take it off. Is that still someone's rights I'm infringing on?
No. But we are looking at the many cases where it does not affect that individual. Okay. But he or she just chooses to go and tear it because it is not in his or her interest.
Okay.
That's what we are looking at.
I also have a question, and this is actually in line with people with disabilities. I feel like in most cases, even sometimes, and in this context, I'd even say sometimes language becomes a disability where you have people who might not be literate and might have a ballot paper where they have to cast their votes, and they're seeing things they can't necessarily read and understand, tacitly before they go into it. Now, what measures are put in place to assist these people? Also, the people who are blind, people who, have other disabilities that probably are still within the voting range. What kind of modalities are put in place for these
Let
people?
me also quickly add to that. And then also people who, for some reason or the other, have lost their thumbs, and can't exactly use their thumb, or even have lost their fingers or have lost their arms. But before, maybe 4 years ago when they voted or when they registered, they could, or they had all of these body parts in place.
Thank you. I would want to first of all touch on what NCC is doing before I look at what the Electoral Commission is also doing. Okay. In our education, we try to bring on board all groups. So, for instance, we have in our Iowa West here a committee called Interparty Dialogue Committee, and we have a visually impaired gentleman as the chairman for that committee. Okay. And the work that he is doing there for the committee is marvelous. He's very much on top of his issues. When you go to the assembly, we have social welfare that has their list, like a list of those people around. They work with them. Sometimes we go to social welfare, they organize them for us, and then we talk to them. So wherever we go, we try to look out for some of them, encourage them, tell them that so and so supports are there on the election day. When you go, you will be assisted to vote. Now let me come to the Electoral Commission side of it. That is what will happen on the election day. Preferential treatment will be given to pregnant women, lactating mothers, persons with physical disability, hearing impairment, and all that. Okay. They will not be expected to join the queue. Those who will come with hearing impairment, for instance, may have to come with somebody who will assist them. The law will make room for someone joining them to assist them. Then for the visually impaired, we have this tactile ballot jacket, which is solely designed for the visually impaired to vote. It assists them to vote independent of any other person, without anybody coming in to vote. So to help that person to vote. So concerning such groups, the physically challenged and all that, they are not going to queue. Preferential treatment will be given to such people to be able to exercise their franchise on that day.
And that's done everywhere.
She spoke about a missing thumb or
Yes,
missing,
the
the entire
missing
limb
thumb,
is gone.
missing
How do
limbs,
you
yeah.
vote?
I think in that way, you know, if you cannot be biometrically, if the biometric device is not able to prove, they have this thing they call facial verification.
Okay.
They will take a picture of you, compare it with what they have with them, and if it matches, then they have this thing we call manual verification if the first two do not work. So all those systems are there to cater for such challenges.
Okay. All right. Now, before I let you go, Mr. Edem Afeeva, do you have any final words to everybody who's watching or listening today in relation to exercising their voting rights and then also ensuring that we all contribute to reaching the goal or the dream of a peaceful election this year?
Okay. Good people of Ghana, let us all remember that we all count in this process of nation building. We deciding on who to lead us or who not to lead us is also part of the nation building. We all must put we must all put our acts together and make sure that we push this nation forward. We have a golden opportunity on the 7th of December. Nobody, if you have your name in the electoral register, don't leave yourself out. Join all of us to decide on that day, because the country is yours, the country is mine. It is for all of us. We can't leave this exercise for a few people. So I am pleading with all of you, good people of Ghana, on that day, let us go to the polling stations peacefully. If we have to be in the queue, let us be in the queue. Within 500 meters radius of the polling station, please do not take your party T-shirt or anything that will identify you as a party person. Don't take it there. Go there as a citizen of Ghana. Be in the queue if you have to be. Follow the rules and regulations there, and when you are done casting your vote, please leave the polling station and allow those who are on duty to do their work. Let us honor Ghana once again with a free, transparent, and peaceful election. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edem Afeeva. I have one question. Can I ask one question more, production? Just one question, okay? You've made mention, I think, a few times that when people finish voting, they should leave. But time and again, we see that there are still people around, even to the time where the votes are being collated, right? Is there a time that they can come back? Is that allowed for people to still be there and be counting with the officials who have to count these votes for all of the centers?
It is not necessary at all, because when the polls start at 7 till 5 o'clock, we have a certain group of persons who are required by law to be there.
Okay.
The presiding officer and his officers, the electoral commission officers, some media persons, and I think immediate family members of some of the candidates.
Okay.
Those people are the only people that are allowed.
Polling agents.
The polling agents, thank you. And so if you are there, on that day, it is the presiding officer who is the boss at the polling station. If he asks you to leave, you must leave.
Okay.
We have a certain group of people who are also to be there when the counting is going on.
Okay.
If you are not part and the presiding officer asks you to leave the place, do so peacefully for peace to reign.
Production, please
Okay.
forgive me as well, but I'm also really curious about this. With every set of rights come responsibilities. What are the voters' responsibilities? Maybe if you could just hammer on that really quickly before we leave so everybody is educated on what exactly to do on the 7th of December.
The voters' responsibility,
Yes.
as I said, is to keep your card, your voter ID card well, so that on the election day you take it there, and it makes looking for your name very easier. And it is also your responsibility to also ensure that the same right that you are there to enjoy, others enjoy it. Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you again, Mr. Adam Afeeva, Director, National Commission for Civic Education. It's been a good 3 hours with us on the show, as in reference to Terry Tastic, Amy Cherry, and my good self, Lenny Lomote. It's been a good one. Thank you for joining us. If you've joined us from 7 a.m. up until now, again, the full conversation with Mr. Adam Afeeva can be found on our YouTube 3 Music Networks. And do have a great day, guys. Any shouts? Nothing? You're good? All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye. Catch you tomorrow.
Bye.
Culture Daily was brought to you by Telecel.